keepers here at the zoo. These guys are known as little penguins, but also get called blue penguins and fairy penguins. So they're actually the smallest of the 17 penguin species, with the largest being the emperor penguin down on Antarctica. So these guys don't go that far south. They're quite local here in WA. Got them at the zoo, of course, as well as the best place to see them in the wild near Perth is down at Penguin Island near Rockingham, and well worth a visit if you've never been there before. Otherwise, they just extend along the south coast of WA, right through the east coast and about as far south as Tasmania and New Zealand as well. Now we've got 23 little penguins here at the moment, and most of them are out having something to eat. It is their lunchtime, so this is their second feed for the day, and they're actually fed 3 times a day. They're nice hungry little critters. And this morning they're just getting a mixture of small pilchards and whitebait, so they just eat the small bait fish. They also eat the larger sardines and anchovies as well. And they eat fairly similar fish in the wild, as well as maybe a few small shellfish too. Now you might notice that not all of our penguins are actually eating. We do have a few that hand feed only, so they don't feed in the pool. They wait nice and patiently for me to finish here, go up onto the beach and they take food out of my hand. So there's a couple with beak problems that can't pick up the fish in the water, as well as a few lazy ones that have never bothered to learn how to pick up the fish. There's also quite a few young ones this year. We had a successful breeding season over winter, so we had 7 chicks hatch out, and they're all full grown now, so they look like the adults, but not all of them have learned to feed on their own yet either. So we've still got a couple being fed by mum and dad, and hopefully give them another month or so. The parents will be sick of them by then and hopefully off feeding on their own. They're also pretty good at limiting their intake of fish, so we do have a few greedy ones, but most of them, if they're not too hungry, they will actually just eat as much, or as little I should say, as they like, and sometimes skip a feed altogether, but they get fed so regularly, and all of them, as you can see, are pretty good weights anyway, so we don't worry too much if one of them doesn't eat on one feed. We've also got Scar down the front here. He's a bit of a special penguin. All our penguins are special. He's been extra special. He's actually one of our oldest penguins here at the zoo. And so he was a wild penguin that was brought in many, many years ago as a rehab penguin. So he was rescued from being injured and couldn't be released, so he came to visit us here. And he's got a few injuries on the back there and his feet from a boat propeller, so these guys do get some nasty injuries out there in the wild. And so he's been with us for 18 years, but was an adult when he came in, so he could be much older than that. And he's actually starting to get a few eyesight problems at the moment, so he can still see well to get around, but we noticed him missing the fish, or the others were all getting it too quickly, so he gets a special feed down the front now to make sure he doesn't miss out. So you can see that the penguins have the coloured leg bands as well. That's just for identification. It's quite hard to tell them apart when they go so fast through the water, that the bands just help us to be able to pinpoint who's pretty quickly. If anything's not quite right with any of the penguins, we can tell really fast who they are. So they get up to speeds of about 8 to 9 kilometres an hour, so they do literally fly under the water. So of course they don't fly through the air. Very well designed for their life in the ocean. Spend anywhere up to about 19 hours a day out at sea. And they're also well known for their diving ability. They've actually been recorded anywhere up to about 70 metres deep, so they can go quite far if they need to. But most of the day they probably spend it at about 1 to 5 metres is where most of their fish will be at. So the average lifespan in the wild is about 7 to 8 years. As I mentioned before, our oldest one here at the moment is 18, and the oldest